This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So first item, open time to the public. Is there anybody here who has something they'd like to discuss that's not on the agenda? Nope.
I'm sorry, I didn't look at the agenda, but is the Manhead Meadows Bridge on there?
No.
No. So could I speak about that now?
Of course, yeah.
All right. Well, as you know, we've been working on this for years. We started on it in the summer of 2021. We got the grant from Mass Trails in the fall of 2021. They warned us not to overbuild the bridge, not to overdo it, keep it simple. And we tried to do that. And unfortunately, it has just spiraled out of control. We were recently informed that the engineer who got involved, after months of waiting for his report, came in with an estimate of $250,000. And that is way, way beyond anything that the Conservation Commission should commit to that, in my opinion. There's been discussion about using other funds for it. I really think we should either go back to the beginning or cancel this plan, because there's just no way that the Conservation Commission should dedicate all of its resources to this one bridge in this one area. There was originally, one of the reasons we went with this fiberglass option was that on the website of this company, it says many of the bridges are built by volunteers with simple hand tools. They're lightweight. They can be carried by hand to the site. It was a simple attachment process. We started out with a 40-foot bridge. Somehow it got to 70 feet and all this expensive kind of underpinnings and foundation. I don't really know what happened. I don't understand it, but I would be totally opposed to pouring a lot more money into it at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Brittany, may I comment?
Yeah, of course.
The staff also is extremely shocked by the estimated costs from the engineer. We're having the plans reviewed by another PE, and we are asking him for an estimate as well.
Yeah.
However, we must remember that when this goes out to bid, even though the estimated cost from the design engineer is what it is, doesn't mean the bids are going to come in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it can't go out to bid because we don't have the money for it. You can't send something to bid when the town doesn't have the funds designated. That's against the law. So
well, I've been told by the town administrator to have the accountant prepare the bid specs.
well, you can't do that. That's not, you can't put it out to bid if the town doesn't have the money for it. And it came in way, way above budget. And can I ask who the other engineer is?
Art Lawrence told me his name. Unfortunately, I forgot it. He's a member of the planning board.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's if he could figure out how to, cut it in half, it's a possibility. But we had a $50,000 grant. We had 57,000 from CPA, and we've already spent some of that on the engineer. And it's all very frustrating.
Very much so. And I agree with you. I will talk again to the town administrator tomorrow about your concerns. And I don't know what to say beyond that.
Yeah. In the past, we've had a similar situation when they had to pull back a proposed bid because the town did not have the money to proceed. And unless the law has changed, that's the way I think it is.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at Art's email and it looks like he was suggesting that John Furman take a look at everything
Yes,
and provide
that's
an
the name.
estimate.
That's the name.
John's not on the planning board. He stepped down long ago.
Hmm.
Oh,
He is an engineer, but
maybe he said he was on the planning board and I
Oh.
misunderstood.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
all right. That
those
is definitely frustrating.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about liability and the bridge company, guarantees their bridge. And there's talk about how you need professionals to do it. They're designed for volunteers, these bridges are. They're built in national parks, in remote places. So I just don't understand how
Yeah.
this all happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little shocking.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because people have asked, when are we going to get a bridge there? We've been
Yeah.
talking about it for years. And, we had a bridge and yeah, it was damaged, but it worked for 30 years. And,
Yeah.
we should put some logs down.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But I just wanted to say that this idea of, spending every penny that the Conservation Commission has on that one site
Yeah,
is, I think, outrageous.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right.
All right. Okay. So we'll just kind of wait and see
Yeah.
what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Not holding out too much hope. All right. So then, new business. I don't think he's here. I saw his email a few minutes ago when I got home. I did not have a chance to reach out to the Friends of Southampton Greenway.
I did.
You did?
Yes,
Okay.
I sent him the link.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess we'll just move on from that, and move on to old business, continuing our public meeting from May 20th. Okay. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the hearing was continued to receive the payment from the applicant for the legal notice. We have received that.
Got it.
And with that, it's my opinion the commission just needs to close the hearing and vote on the OOC. But
Okay.
obviously the applicant's rep here should you need additional information.
Right. It looks like I think we had some questions last time.
Yeah, I did receive an email back from the applicant stating that the property was being farmed for hay and that they wanted to continue doing that, as well as in some point in the future do a vegetable garden and stand to sell vegetables. So they intend to keep it in the farming status.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Does anyone else have any questions, comments on this hearing before we close it? Going once, going twice.
So hearing that,
Yeah.
Will we apply the agriculture exemption to which part of the order of conditions? Are we talking about the setting of boundaries to delineate the wetland area?
Lisa, do you have a definitive location of the agriculture that they're planning to do?
Well, the area that I see that is in the where you had specified that you wanted to do kind of the 25-foot markers.
Yeah.
That would kind of impede where they would be haying. So I'm not sure whether it's allowable to hay within that 25-foot.
Technically, the Concom area is supposed to be, quote, undisturbed.
Mm.
My recommendation would be that when a definitive area is outlined, the applicant file an RDA requesting a negative number 5, and that would make that area exempt.
Okay, didn't seem like they wanted to do any further filing, but I can bring that up to them. So it would be a matter of if they do not want to have the markers along the 25-foot buffer, that they would need to file the RDA. But if they are agreeable to mark out the 25-foot, then we could just go with placing boulders or birdhouses or.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess as far as the order of conditions go, is there a way to put a condition in there stating that the monumentation would be required unless RDA filing for agricultural exemption kind of statement?
Would you say that again, please?
Could you put some kind of wording in the order of conditions that state that monumentation along the 25-foot buffer is required unless an RDA finding allows for.
Okay, I got the latter part. Yeah, that can
Yeah.
absolutely be done.
Okay.
I think that covers it pretty well. It maybe like we looked at this before, but the area being hayed, I'm pretty sure is BVW. It's not like I don't think they're in the marsh
No.
working on this. So I'm sure like the RDA would be favorable towards that. So long as they're not encroaching on wet areas.
And also to state the entirety of the 6 acres was not delineated in the rear of the property where they're not working. So would that have to be marked as well?
They're eventually going to split this off and own it, correct?
They have already created an RDA lot that was approved. The ownership
That's
has
what I
not
thought.
changed hands. Yeah.
So they would only have control, quote unquote, over this particular parcel of ground.
Right. But the entirety of this parcel was not delineated, only the area in which they were working.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
It goes, really far back, which they weren't proposing to do any work back there.
Again, I'd go back to a suggestion that the owners would have to ascertain exactly where they'd like to do their agricultural pursuit.
Okay.
And then we can clearly delineate it either by an IDA or an amendment to the orders.
Okay.
Right, are we all set? Are we good to close the meeting? Yes, no?
Motion. Should I make a motion to close the public meeting?
Yes, please.
So moved.
All right, and do we have a second?
I'll
Basically,
second.
thank you. All right. We'll just put it to a vote. Jake,
Aye.
Dan's not here. Kathleen, hello.
Muted.
She's muted.
I'm sorry. Sorry, this device is just terrible to unmute.
That's all right.
I'm so sorry. It's like the device I need to use the Yes, I.
Okay, and I
Sorry,
think
guys.
he's not quite here yet, and myself, I. And then we just need a motion to issue the order of conditions with the Southampton special conditions. Do I need to list them all out, George?
No,
I'll put them in the minutes,
as
but
the minutes indicated that those were all listed, I would recommend, should the commission want to go with those, that they strictly say they issue the orders with the stipulations as outlined by the agent.
okay, all right, perfect. Okay, would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved as proposed.
All right, and a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. And we'll vote again. Jake,
Aye.
Kathleen,
Aye.
and myself, I. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else before we wrap up that? All right. Okay. And then moving on to the
Thank you.
Mountain Waters CR. So, I think, hi, Bridget.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thank you again for coordinating signatures on that, George, and for all of you for coming in and getting those signatures done. I know it's a hassle, especially when there are difficulties these days with getting things notarized. But yes, the CR should be moving forward to finalization. But we need one more set of signatures related to this acquisition, and that's the formal acceptance of the deed by the Conservation Commission. So just as a reminder for everyone, that town acting through its Conservation Commission is going to be owning this land in fee. So along with the CR, the town will be purchasing the land outright. And so both the select board and the Conservation Commission will need to sign the deed. And I have the signature page here. The deed is still to be formally drafted by the attorneys, but town council recommended that we move forward with signatures at this point. And so Scott and I are coordinating those. Let's see. So just so you can all see what that signature page looks like, just saying that town acting by and through its Conservation Commission pursuant to authority granted by the MGL and the vote taken under Article 16 of the December 5th, 2023 special town meeting hereby accepts for open space and passive recreation purposes, subject to the protections of Article 97 of the Articles of Amendment to the Massachusetts Constitution, the care, custody, management, and control of the property on Fomer Road. So just asking ideally for a formal vote tonight to accept the deed and then again coordinating the signatures. Closing is not until June 25th, and so there's time to get those signatures. No need to rush on them, but it'd be great to get that vote done tonight, pending any concerns or questions.
Was that already in the mailbox, George? That paper? That
As soon as
first-
I get it from Bridget, I'll put it in the mailbox and let everybody know when it's there.
Oh,
And-
okay. Sorry, I'm confusing it with
Yeah, there's lots of signatures going around.
Yeah. Okay, no. Great. No rush, George. Sorry. We have until June 25th, as Bridget said. Thanks.
All right. Oh, here's Hazel.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hi, Hazel. How are you?
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Oh, you're fine. All right. So we were just discussing accepting the deed for the Garfinkel conservation restriction. Did you have any questions on that? Do you need a recap?
Recap would be great.
Okay.
Sure. Hazel, we're just talking about how, along with the CR, since the town through the Conservation Commission is purchasing the land outright, along with signing the CR, the Concom needs to sign the deed as well, and the select board is going to be signing the deed also. And so a formal vote is needed for that, and then signatures will go around again. I did make sure your name was spelled right this time. I apologize again for that error on this conservation restriction. But the closing is officially on June 25th for this land and for the conservation restriction. So some time to get those signatures.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to make the motion to accept the deed for the Garfinkel CR?
Motion to accept the deed for the Garfinkel CR.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
All right. Any questions, comments before we vote? Hopefully not. Jake?
Aye.
Kathleen?
Aye.
Hazel?
Aye.
And myself, aye. All right. George, will you just let us know when it's available?
I will. And I would also remind the members, if you come in to sign it, one of the members is going to have to do it in front of Kathleen in the assessor's office because the town clerk is out, as you probably know, on medical. And she has to have, she being Kathleen in the assessor's office, has to have one live signature that she can notarize. And
Okay.
the registry of deeds will accept just the one signature notarized,
Great. Okay.
but with everybody else signing.
Okay. All right.
Great, so I'll get that to George and he'll,
Thank you, Bridget.
thank you all.
All right.
This
Thank you.
So yeah, this is Kathleen from the assessors or the
The assessor's office.
different Kathleen. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to Alice Brown. Hazel and I met up with Mark. He's unfortunately not able to make the meeting tonight, but we kind of just recapped and prioritized the areas that we thought needed addressing sooner rather than later. We kind of tentatively marked out where a trail reroute would be feasible. And he also did a revamp of the bridge. If Jake wants to show that picture, did a great job. It's very
That's-
sturdy.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love it.
that's really nice.
Moved really
Wow.
quick on that.
Yeah, he did.
Sheesh.
I know. He said he was bored and looks forward to projects. So,
Really
yeah.
well done.
That's great.
Boredom.
I don't know what that's like.
Right? I'm like,
The other things that we're thinking we probably could do in the near future, there's a little bit past this, I believe, there's a little muddy area where we could probably do a little bit of a bog bridge. That would probably be pretty easy. Rerouting the trail, not a lot to do. There's one area, and I didn't take a picture of it, but there's a lot of brush and shrubbery and remnant logs that probably in maybe a weekend, if we had a big enough crew, maybe a Trailblazers group could help. But we could probably clear that and make a little walking path. There's just a lot of debris that's piled up and is now kind of overgrown, but is a pretty dry area that we think would be a good reroute, so we can kind of avoid the really muddy area where someone had placed logs and stumps that people can kind of, hop across. But we're thinking we're just going to close that off. And then there's a couple places where, people have kind of made their own little trails, and we would just kind of make it very clear either with logs. Mark said he's able to pull some of those logs that have been left behind. He can use those to block off trails. And that we just kind of need to make it really clear to people where the trail is and that they should remain on the trail. We also had the pleasure of seeing where there had been a lot of lady slippers. And they're kind of spreading, which is great to see. They're all pretty much dead now, not, anything colorful to see, but we could see where they were.
yeah.
So we're thinking, maybe down the road, it'd be really nice to maybe schedule a walk when they're really in bloom, but also just being aware of where they are and, maybe signage at some point, just letting people know, please, again, like remain on the trail, don't step off the trail. There's sensitive plants over in that area. Don't pick them.
Yeah, don't pick
See.
them.
Yeah. So, there's definitely a lot that can be done. I think definitely some easier projects that we can tackle, this year. And I think that was everything. There's definitely that whole vernal pool situation that Brittany Goodenmuth was concerned about, where it's kind of divided and one part is a little higher than the other. It's definitely dried out a little bit since we last saw it. But that I think will take a little bit more coordinating, but it's definitely something that is on the priority list. It just may not be able to be done soon. So that's kind of where we're at. We did meet the one set of abutters. We were looking for the boundary line. And we did get to meet them, talked over the fence. They kind of guided us to where, the boundary has kind of disappeared into the woods. So at some point I'll try and go back, maybe with a GPS unit, and try and find where that boundary is, because the purple paint has just kind of completely disappeared in a lot of that property. It's just really, really hard to find. And if we don't find it, we don't want to pay to have it surveyed again. So that's kind of where we're at. Any thoughts, suggestions, questions?
I would just add,
Thank you.
I would say low priority given the overall really great quality of the site, but just at the entrance, just watching that bittersweet, removing it, because you can kind of see on the trail, it's like, unless you're looking down, you'd miss it, but you can see probably like half an inch thick roots crossing the trail.
Yep.
And it's bittersweet kind of making its way to the other side. And if you remember that tree stand that was dead, we don't want that to happen to the other side.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it's very high priority given that it's just the entrance and see literally anything else of concern inside, but just at that entryway, keeping an eye out for that.
All right. So we could probably organize a group to go out and just kind of take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It really didn't look like too big of a problem outside of that like tree stand area that was killed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for the thorough update, Brittany. Yeah, as you guys read my email, I wasn't able to make it, but I'm familiar with the property. I went there a couple times, and yeah, it sounds like there's a lot to chew on, so to speak, but also there's interest, which is good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is Mark Droy, I know he does a lot on his own, but is he at all going to volunteer with the Friends group?
I don't know. It seems like he just kind of works on things when he has the time.
Yeah.
I can certainly ask him. Also, if he would like any help, he doesn't have to do it by himself.
Of course. Yeah, I'm wondering,
But I
like,
know,
yeah, sorry.
I know he said he was able to, and he was pointing out along the way various leftover logs that he thought would be really good and resistant that he could just use for signage. We definitely need some signs. We definitely need one, about dogs. We need to kind of better, in our discussion with the abutters, I can definitely see where they have a problem. I unfortunately cannot remember their name, but I could find them on a map. So I'll have to look up who they are. But they said the trail kind of curves pretty close to their property to where they have a fence up, but they do have a dog, and they said a lot of people with their off-leash dogs, the dogs are just running over to the fence, antagonizing their dog. So I can definitely understand that that's really disruptive. So I think maybe some signs over in that area where the trails loop really close to the boundary and are looping really close to people's private property, it would be worthwhile to put a sign up for people to just be courteous. And, again, reiterating, no motorized vehicles. This is passive recreation. Staying on the trail. I think just some general rules and guidelines and signage. And, if people are ignoring the signs, then we got the Southampton police involved. But, I think it's good to just kind of have some good, neighborly relationships with the abutters, and, they can definitely be an asset. So I think, the next thing is we're just kind of wondering, George, I was going to try to stop by. I don't know if I'll have any time tomorrow, but I was going to stop by and just take a look at what we have currently for signs. If we need to get some signs made, we might have to look into that. Otherwise, I told Mark, whatever he thinks we need for lumber, we can just buy and stockpile if we think we have enough time before the June deadline of returning whatever monies we haven't used.
Yeah, but we got to do that PDQ because in 3 weeks that money's gonna be lost.
Okay.
4 weeks. And speaking of which, it looks like the sign at the farm that I was talking about is going to be much more expensive. They don't think they can fix what's there.
I bet. Yeah.
I got to get them some measurements tomorrow and hopefully get a price real quick.
Okay.
But, if we get any other signs that we want to purchase, we're going to have a vendor and encumber it.
Yeah.
By the end of the month. And I was going to use some of that leftover money. There's about $4,000 there to partially pay for the engineer's contract for the bridge.
Okay.
So we got to get all these dominoes in a row.
Yeah.
So we know where we're coming from.
Okay. I think that was it. So I guess next steps would be, I'll try and come by, see what we have for signs. I'll touch base with Mark and see what we can do. I mean, we can definitely probably just do an easy bog bridge. So we'll see what we need for that. And Jake, is it right? We don't use pressure treated lumber if it's going in the ground. If it's on the ground, is that okay? Or I don't know anything about this.
As long as it's not treated with arsenic.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that the case for most pressure treated wood?
Okay. Arsenic, really?
Yeah, that's what we used to treat it with.
Really?
Keeps
Oh,
stuff
that's terrible.
The pressure treated lumber that's produced in today's market is not.
Oh, good.
But if you get stuff like that was produced 15 years ago,
Sure.
it may be.
That's frightening.
Yes, it is.
Hey.
Yeah, they did a lot of odd things with hazardous material back
Right?
then.
Oh my God. You just never know. It's just wood. Sure. Okay. Because I don't know anything really about lumber. So we do have an account with Flurry. So if we need to get lumber, we can certainly go there. I just would not have any idea what to ask for. So if anybody does know.
Yeah, you can get pressure treated lumber is fine as long as it's made in the last few years.
Great. Could definitely ask them that. Okay. And so that's okay to just put on the ground. It's not going into the ground.
Either way.
Okay. All right. Bridge.
And so your question is, yeah, like, or not question, but like sort of what we were talking about is trying to stockpile before we don't have the funds to.
Or we don't have the funds, yeah.
And like, so I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but who would be the one to make the bridge? Is it Mark, or is that what we agreed upon?
I'm betting Mark could probably do it. If you wanted some help, I was gonna say, I was gonna touch base with the Trailblazers group anyway.
Okay. I
reached out to them once before and I don't get a response, so I don't know what's going on. But I'll try again.
Did you reached out to Kathy Hall?
I did. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I did not get a response. So yeah, because that would be, if he needed the help, I mean, this is a much smaller project, I think, than what he just did. But anyway, if he
Yeah.
wants to help, he certainly doesn't have to do things alone. And then we need to take care of the invasive, bittersweet. And then the trail reroute, which would definitely take some manpower.
Yeah, luckily it's mostly ferns.
Yeah,
It was easy to kind of push aside, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
quite a bit of
yeah. I would say we
Very
probably wouldn't want to do
exciting.
any of that during the month of July if it's going to continue to be hot like this, unless
no.
people want to go out early in the morning. Um,
Yeah, that could
and be done by 11.
work. Yeah,
Otherwise, this
I
might be
agree with
something we
that.
tackle late summer, early fall. I don't know. It's hot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. And then, of course, signage. Okay,
Sounds
Alright.
good.
sounds good. All right. And there didn't appear to be any new motorized activity, I think, that we could see. It looked like there were some bicycle tracks, and Mark did ask about bikes. And I said, I'm pretty sure we allow bikes on all the properties. They're not motorized. I don't know what to say about electric bikes. But you know, there are people with mountain bikes, and I'm pretty sure that's fine. So I think that's where we're at. So if anyone comes up with any other ideas, suggestions, definitely reach out. But I'll try and look at the calendar and see what we can organize for either this summer or late summer, early fall, when we're not going to have heat stroke.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. Next up is update on 178 Brickyard Road.
We have sent the enforcement order to the property owner, first class mail with a certificate of mailing. It has not come back. It's Mark's at DEP's opinion that the applicant has been legally notified of the problem. The health agent has informed me he expects to go in front of the judge on this issue in mid-June. And that will be basically on the local bylaw and not the state statute. So the commission's, if you will, decision at this point is, you just want to rely on the judge and the local bylaw, or do you want to kick this upstairs to DEP? My suggestion would be we hold off and see what the judge does.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm comfortable with that.
Because if the judge issues the order to clean it up,
Yeah,
it's what we need done is going to be done.
right.
And we would, of course, if the judge orders that, we'd notify Fish and Wildlife and DEP as well.
Okay. I
Uh,
think that sounds reasonable.
if the judge holds off on doing things, then I think maybe the commission should consider kicking it upstairs.
Okay,
Okay, that's that.
right. And you said the health agent is going to see the judge mid-June?
Yes.
June, okay. Okay. All right. Regular business. We have your conservation agents report.
Well, first of all, since the Friends of Southampton did not evidently get the link in time, do you want me to kick that over to the next agenda?
Yeah, we might as well do that.
Okay, and I will again remind him where we can get the agenda.
Yep.
I have been putting together some information on the Conservation Commission managed lands, the CRs in town, and the town-owned lands. And in my agent's report, I've come up with a couple of issues that I would like the input from the members, not necessarily tonight, but I'm going to have it, The first one is the parcels owned by Madison Trust, that are termed conservation land. These are on Rattle Hill Road, but there's no CR that I can find. So I don't know what conservation land means.
Hmm.
It's still in private ownership.
I believe that's Christina's family.
Pardon me?
Diana, do you know much of?
I'm
Christina?
sorry, I wasn't listening, so
Oh.
can you just, yeah, go ahead, ask me again. It's which land?
Christina Madson's land on Rattle Hill.
Yes, like
Uh,
70 acres or something.
Yeah, yeah.
She, I believe Kestrel has that CR,
Okay.
and she and her sister still own it, but they put it in conservation with Kestrel several years ago. It was sort of like a trade-off. If she agreed to do that, if the town would agree to conserve that water property on Pomeroy Meadow,
Oh,
where
yeah.
there's the pollinator garden now. So it was done quite, they had to wait for the tax credit. I know that, but
In the land records. So I'll reach out to Kestrel then and see if they have any information on it.
did you ask Christina?
Pardon me?
Did you ask Christina Madsen about it?
No, I haven't gone out to any of the property owners. I wanted to bring it to the commission first and see if they had any information on it, which I just got. I will reach out to one of the owners is an Andrea Gilmore.
That's Christina's sister.
Okay. So I will reach out to them and the addresses I have, and I'll reach out to Bridget at Kestrel and see if I can find out additional information on those parcels.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is on Riverdale Road. Two parcels listed again as conservation lands. These were taken as part by the town as part of a widening of the road. I don't know why they're classified as Concom land. They're owned by the town. One is a long linear parcel, and one is basically a swamp.
Where are these located again?
They're at 0 Riverdale, which is right at the intersection of Riverdale and Gunn.
Oh.
And
yeah.
28 Riverdale is about a quarter of a mile up from that intersection on the left-hand side.
I wasn't familiar with those.
I think some of that will be involved in the Greenway. The Greenway's coming right through there.
I agree, but what I'm trying to do is find the legal basis for why it's called conservation land.
Well, it's wetlands.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it conservation land.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why it's important right now.
Well, again, we're just trying to get a handle on, for instance, the land is owned by the municipality. But
good.
I don't understand why it's classified conservation land.
Because then it makes it seem like it's in our purview, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I agree with you exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can do some more digging on that.
It's probably just maybe inappropriate wording.
Yeah, it's probably just,
I think
rhetoric.
My gut feeling is when the town took it and they looked at the swamp, they said, oh, this is conservation. And that's what they labeled it. But it's under the purview of the Conservation Commission in terms of permitting, but not of management. And there's a legal difference.
Yeah. That's interesting.
The last one is 82 Brickyard. There is a CR on that. It is recorded in the land records. The problem is, under state regulations, the town cannot be both the owner of the property and the CR holder. Nor can the town be the owner of the property and one of its sub-entities like the commission be the CR holder. So it has to be something like the municipality owns it, but Kestrel is the CR holder. Something like to that thing. So eventually, I think what we're going to have to do, and again, this is not do it immediately or the world ends. We're going to have to and this is going to have political connotations, we're going to have to find somebody to hold the CR because the town can't hold it and own the property.
Why is that?
That's the state regulations. Why, I don't know.
It's like, it's a restriction, so part of the rights to the property are owned by another entity so that it's not developable. If we own all the rights to the property, then it, unless the deed says otherwise, I guess, but it's not how it's done typically.
Right.
What about, like, say, Manhattan Meadows? The town owns that, and it's a
Right, but
conservation.
the town owns it, but any conservation restriction is not held by the town. The interesting thing, this is just semantics. I have never run across it before. You dealt with it earlier tonight. The owner of the property for Manhattan Meadows, for instance, or Manhattan Meadows, is the town of Southampton through the Conservation Commission. So if somebody came to you right now and said, who owns it? What's the answer? Does the town own it or does the Conservation Commission own it?
Well, isn't the Conservation Commission a subset of the town?
Right.
Yes,
My
it
understanding
is.
has always been that the Conservation Commission doesn't actually own anything.
Right.
None of the properties are owned by the commission.
So can can anybody, let's say, can the town do something without the Conservation Commission's approval, even if it's not jurisdictional?
Semantics.
Because that's how the deed reads. The town owns it through the Conservation Commission. I've never seen that before.
Seems like the intention was that the Concom would manage it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jake. Unfortunately, that's not what it says.
Yeah.
And-
I'm looking at it in GIS, and I'm looking at all these GIS. I don't know if you've looked at the open space layer, but a lot of the book and page
Yes, I
references
have.
are made. I don't know if those trace all the way back to the registry.
Well, again, I have the Registry of Deeds information, and with the former town administrator for a legal reading of who owns it and who can do what. Basically, they were told, no, this is just the standard wording. So I just wanted the commission to be aware of that. I don't think anything in terms of the wording on the deeds is going to change. But I will look into the issue of that 82 Brickyard because that's a legal problem that I think it's one of those things that we should take care of if we can, but it's not something that we have to do yesterday. So I'll keep the commission informed of what's going on with that.
So is it not in the GIS? It says that it's owned by Stephen Howland. So it's the Howland CR and the town owns the interest, but that could be wrong. That could just be a data entry issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he owns it anymore. I think he gave it to the town.
Wow.
Yeah, the latest deeds show that the town owns it.
Okay, so we should give the restriction to Kestrel or something. I don't know how you do that.
There's a process for doing it, but we've got to make sure we do it, quote, correctly, both legally and politically.
Yep. And that property will come up in the future because it's right along the future rail trail.
82 Brickyard, yeah, probably is.
Well, thanks for doing all that research, George. This was fascinating.
And frustrating.
Yeah.
That's all I have on that one. And again, I'll keep the commission in the loop as I find out more and things develop.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
That's all I have on that one.
All right. Next up, I have our treasurer update. Kathleen has very kindly offered to be our new treasurer, but we would need a new CPC liaison. So if anybody is interested, Kathleen, do you want to just briefly kind of talk on what the CPC
Yeah,
is, how often they're meeting?
definitely.
Are?
Yeah, so this is probably a year ago or more. Time flies. Um, it was needed that someone from the Conservation Commission represents at the CPC, stands for Community Preservation Commission. And it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I can do this. I just have no idea what this is. And I just kind of showed up. And it's actually been really enjoyable being part of CPC. What's so cool about it is you get to kind of know what the projects are at a time in the town. Because CPC is really, our tax money in Southampton pays for a CPC. So not all towns have it, but basically it's funding for open space, for historical significance, for housing. So those are all kind of like the pockets of money for projects. And so people apply to CPC funds for anything from playgrounds to cemetery stuff to, as we know, the Mountain Waters project. And so the CPC is made up of a liaison from each different sort of commissioner board. So I'm there from Concom. There's someone from housing. There's someone from Parks and Rec, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they meet maybe, just like once a month at the town hall. The more we meet, I feel like the shorter the meetings are. So I think the last meeting is only half an hour, which is really great. The issue is I'm having a hard time actually meeting in the evening time, just balance with my schedule with my children and everything. So I definitely want to prioritize being at these meetings for Concom, and then taking on the treasurer position. It's just kind of puts me out a little bit to do the CPC. For that reason, I'm putting in this plug that if someone wants to know more about CPC, can let me know. And I understand everyone here is doing so much, so I really appreciate it. And we'll figure it out. But so yeah, let me know if you have any questions about CPC or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. So we'll put that out there. I know we're a little short on members. There's just not enough members to go around to all of the other boards. But we'll definitely, hopefully, get some new members in the near future. But yeah, thank you, Kathleen. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, would like to make a motion to appoint Kathleen to the position of treasurer?
If Kathleen wants to be treasurer, I'd motion that we accept Kathleen as the treasurer.
Yep, I second that.
Awesome. All right. We'll put it to a vote. Jake?
Aye.
Kathleen, would you like to accept? You can vote for yourself.
Okay. I don't know if I have to abstain or not. Yes, aye.
Yay. Hazel?
Aye.
Okay, and myself, aye. Thank you very, very much, Kathleen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll be meeting Art on Thursday morning in the town hall to learn the ropes. So
awesome. Thank you.
Art is helping me out. Yay.
He was great. He was very happy to help. He knows all those things.
Yeah, I'm very thankful.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. Much appreciated. I take some weight off my shoulders. All right. And then, George, did you have any updates on website modifications? That was next on the agenda, but I don't know if you had anything for us.
Take off. And 4, I'd like to add.
Okay.
As listed, I don't see why we're keeping the minutes from 1965 on the website.
No.
And the open space recreation plan was 2012. That has to be updated every 7 years, so there should be a new one someplace. And the Southampton Farmland Resources Assessment Project, while maybe interested, I don't know if it necessarily has to have its own link on our webpage. The web pages I'd like, or the links I'd like to add is the meeting dates and application deadlines. The link to DEP's website, those I can get the application forms, because many people call me and say, where do I get them?
Right. Yep.
A link to, and this one will be a little bit incoming, the conservation restrictions we have in town.
Mm.
And a link to, I came across an extremely good 3 or 4 page publication from Mass Wildlife on beavers.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, what their ecological niche is, when they become a problem, and how to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And we get, probably most in the fall after they've done their dam work, and that's literally what they're doing.
Yep.
How do I get rid of them, and what do I do? Something like that. And so I think that would be an extremely valuable educational website for the general public. But again, I don't want to make any of these changes without the commission's okay.
Sure. Okay.
I don't think any vote or formal motion, et cetera, is necessary. I just need to have the general consensus to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a lot that's outdated.
Yeah, it's like, going back to 65, I've asked the state for permission to get rid of some stuff 50 years old.
Yeah.
And
Is all that, how far back? I haven't looked, but it just occurred to me. How far back are the minutes on the My Town Government website?
I don't know.
Is there like, does it all have to be available? I don't know what.
No.
Okay.
The formal repository is with the town clerk,
Okay.
and that office has to keep it.
Okay, yeah, it goes back as far as January 14, 2013, and then says, for more information on older meetings, please see town clerk.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's there.
sounds good. All right. Nope, I think that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All
That's
right.
all I got.
Okay. Property work elsewhere. I'm not really aware of anything. I know the Trailblazers were doing stuff at Clark again.
I'm not aware of anything going on.
No. Okay.
The ZBA or the planning board or health department.
Okay.
They weren't necessarily the Trailblazers, but Cindy Palmer, her husband and son, and a couple of other people put in a little bog bridge at Clark that was
Okay.
approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
that's really nice that that's done.
Oh, great. I'll have to stop by and see it.
Mm-hmm.
Since Cindy Palmer was mentioned, I want to make sure all the commission members know that Cindy Palmer is now a member of the select board.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay. Any updates from other boards?
No, I haven't received any.
Okay, excellent. Down to reviewing the minutes from May 20th. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to review them. Sorry, I got them out really late last night. I completely forgot and the weekend got away from me.
I find the minutes accurate and efficient, and I move to accept the minutes as written.
Would anyone like to second that?
I can second.
Okay, thank you. All right, if no other questions, comments, suggestions, Jake,
Aye.
Kathleen,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
and myself, I. Any correspondence, George, that we need to be
No.
aware of? No, perfect.
No.
Love it. any other business that cannot await our next meeting, which is scheduled for June 17th? Nothing. Site visits, I don't have any on my list. George, are there any upcoming? Perfect. All right, so our next meeting is June 17th. If there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Yay.
Good job. 1 hour, guys. That's pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Without feeling rushed. Without feeling
Wait,
rushed. of
yeah.
course.
It's time for dinner. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Thanks. Okay. Jake?
Aye.
Dan's not here. Kathleen?
Aye.
Hazel?
Aye.
And myself, aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.